What's going on, everybody? Now, I know what you're doing right now. You're reading what's on the screen. Well, I don't want you to do that just yet. So I'm going to go over some things that will be directly incorporated into our next Publisher project called the Font and Color Poster. Now, these aren't going to be the only things that we'll do for it. Quite often in this class, there will be concepts or skills we previously learned that will be incorporated into future projects in new ways or the same ways as review. So very rarely in this class are we going to learn one thing and then throw it out and never speak of it again, because no one wants to do that. Unless it's something we really don't like, but we like everything in this class. So that's why everything's going to be reused, or most things. So let me just scroll back up, and without further ado, let's just get right down to it. Things to know for Font and Color Poster. We need to know what page orientation is and how to change it. So there are two types of page orientation, portrait and landscape. This is the portrait orientation, what many would call the standard format. It's more vertical, like you're looking straight down at a regular piece of paper. If I go to the Page Design tab and click the Orientation button, here it is, I can change it to landscape, and it makes the picture wider. Not the picture, but it makes the work area wider. So it didn't actually change the size of the project, but it changed how it's placed on the screen. So it gives us a wider workspace to work with. And we can change it back to portrait if we need to. So it makes sense for it to be under the Page Design tab because it directly affects how we're going to design our project and our entire page. If we go to the Insert tab, it wouldn't make sense for it to be there because we're not placing any objects on the screen right now. We're not doing any of that. Wouldn't make sense for it to be under the Home tab either because we're not editing text or changing text colors or anything like that at all. So that's why it's a good idea to think about, what tab do I need to go to first? And then once we go to the Page Design tab, we can find the Orientation button there. So those are the two kinds of page orientations. Second thing, crop an image to a shape. In order to do that, we need to first know what crop means. What does it mean to crop? It means to cut, or cut an image in a certain way. This is a specific kind of cutting or cropping in that we're going to get an image to take on the form of a shape that we can create in Publisher. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to insert my own picture here. Alright, this guy's ready for Halloween. Notice how I'm already in the Picture Tools Format tab because the picture is selected once I insert it. And the crop option is going to be here, and here it is. Let's click the lower half of this button because that's where the crop to shape option is. So if I select any one of these shapes now, the same kinds of shapes I can insert, once I do that, this picture will take on the form of that shape. It's kind of hard to see the left side of it because it's white. There we go. Now you can more clearly see it. Okay, so you can choose any of these shapes. You can even choose the heart because everyone loves cats. And I'll just do one more, the flag one. There, we can do that to any picture. Okay, so what's the purpose of doing that? Just so A, we can know what cropping means and what it is, and B, so we can kind of jazz up our projects a little bit rather than having all of our images be just rectangular or square pictures. This adds some variety to it, so not everything is plain. Adds more visual appeal. Okay, that's cropping to a shape. Customizing word art. So if there's anything that any of you may have done before, this is probably it. You may have used word art in Microsoft Word, but we can use it in Publisher too. Not only do I want us to be able to do this, we should be able to change the fill color and outline color separately. We kind of did this already, but now we're going to apply it to text. So I'm going to insert word art. Word art is fancy text that you can, of course, customize. I'll choose this one. I'll just type in the first word that comes to my mind. And you can go ahead and select whatever font you like. Everyone likes this one. All right. I'll make it bigger. Now, I'm going to go ahead and change the fill color, which is the inside color of any object. Notice how I'm already in the Word Art Tools Format tab. I'll just choose orange. Is that even orange? What color? Oh, it says it's orange, but it looks yellow. Okay, I'll stick with that. And then shape outline, I'll just choose black. So this is how we can change the outline color separate from the fill. The outline's really skinny, so I'm gonna go down to weight and choose 3. You could choose 6. If you wanted to choose something above 6, you can click more lines and you type it in here beside width. Width is the same as weight. I don't know why they use 2 separate names. They really shouldn't. So you can type in 55 and that is a little too thick, so I'm going to undo that. We'll stick with 3. How about that? All right, and that's how to change the outline weight and outline color and fill color separately. I'll just make it something other than that. I'll just make it like blue. There you go. Okay. So the last thing is the concept of a gradient. Okay, so if there's anything that none of you have seen before, this is probably the one. A gradient is a blending of 2 or more colors. Blending. So going from gray to white, that's not a gradient. It has to blend. So if I go to the Page Design tab, just click the background button, and we can see some pre-made gradients here. This is a gradient, that's a gradient, these are all gradients. So notice how it's blending from orange to white back to orange. However, this isn't exactly what we are going to do because this is only a 2-color gradient. I mean, yeah, orange is used twice, but I still consider it 2 colors. If we want to apply a gradient to a background, we'll click the background button and then click More Backgrounds. How many times did I just use the word background in one sentence? I don't know. But anyway, this might not be selected at first. It might be this. It might say no fill or solid. Either way, we want to make sure gradient fill is checked off. And we want to direct our attention to this bar right here, under where it says gradient stops. Each of these little arrow thingies is called a gradient stop. So if I click one, and then I click this color button, I can change the color of that area of the gradient. So if I was to click OK, this area would be red now. I'll just click the middle one, and I'll change this to green, and I'll click the right one and change it to yellow. So this is going to be a 3-color gradient. If I wanted to add more colors, I could just click anywhere on the stop or click this button, but I think it's just easier to click the bar. And you could add 5 colors, 10 colors, you could add every color in the rainbow if you wanted to, but I won't do that. If you want to take away a stop, delete one, click on it and then click the Remove Gradient Stop button. Alright, I'm going to click OK, and that's a 3-color gradient. Perfect. I'll go back to that for a second. What you can also do is you can move these stops around, and you can control how much of that color appears, or you can control when a color stops and starts. You can't move the ones on the end, though. So if you wanted the yellow to go out further, you'd have to create another one and then add more yellow. Okay. What if we wanted to apply a gradient to a shape? So what if I wanted to insert this lightning bolt shape and apply a gradient to that? A couple ways we can do that. Let's start by looking up at the tab, Drawing Tools Format. We know we're dealing with the fill, although can you apply it to the outline too? I don't think so. I never actually tried. No, the option isn't there, so okay. So I'm going to go up to Shape, Fill, hover over Gradient, and these are, again, preset ones. Let's go to More Gradients. And that takes us to the same menu. It does remember, or you know what, it usually remembers the last gradient you used, but well, I guess not this time. But we customize it the same way. Red, green, and I'll click somewhere. You can even click further over to one of the sides if you want to. Orange. And now that gradient is applied to the shape. All right, so what is a gradient? A blending of two or more colors. A gradient cannot be one color. That's just a color. A gradient can be 10 colors, but now we know how to do it. We know what it is. So these are the 4 mostly brand new things for the font and color poster. And knowing that, I will see you in class when we're ready to actually start the project. Thanks for watching.